everything is basically off of the car. This bolt is actually cross-threaded, but then again, that's like super easy compared to all the exhaust work. And maybe it will encourage me to boost it again. It really blows because like I put so much blood, sweat, and tears into this car, and then now look, it just looks like that. All sad, all the hard work is just gone. All right, well, today is when we start putting the Mustang 100% back to stock due to the state ref. So if you watched my last video, I went and told you guys the Mustang finally got state refed. It has to go back to stock so it can pass the state referee, officer, inspection, whatever they do, but it definitely has to go back to stock. So today what I plan to do is knock out the exhaust parts. So that means getting off the turbo, the crossover pipe, the downpipe, and then everything all the way back from or to the axle backs. Honestly, putting back the Mustang to stock is not a problem because I have all of the parts in the shop. So it won't be hard to put it back to stock. It's just a lot of labor, plus all of the hard work that you've done or I did on this car, all is coming off, which kind of sucks. It really does hurt. But without further ado, let's go ahead and knock off this turbo. Let's get the turbo off, the downpipe, and then some of the electronics, some of the boost wiring. And then after that, we'll lift it up into the air and then get all the stuff on the bottom side. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, guys, it's been around 2 hours or so, but we got a lot of the bottom side of the exhaust taken off. So if you look right here, all of the bottom side of the turbo is all taken apart. The main exhaust actually this right here, this back I can keep on. They said I'm good for that, but I have to take off this part to mock up or to hook that one back up. And then this right here is of course for the crossover and for the downpipe. And then we have the crossover pipe and then the actual other connections to the wastegate and all that stuff. So then after I get the headers on, I'll hook up the cats all up there, get the O2 sensors all hooked up, and then I'll get the mid pipe in there. So as of right now, all the stuff underneath the car is all taken apart. I left it all out because we still need to take out the downpipe, and then we also need to take off the turbo header right there, and then we need to take off this header right here. I don't think the camera's gonna focus, but I took off the 3 bolts that are right here on the header. Yeah, you can't see anything, it's too dark. But I took off the 3 header bolts because it's so much easier to get to them on the lift or underneath the car. So all the other ones I have to get from the top. So far I got all of the stuff that I needed to take off on the bottom all done. Now it's time to tackle the top. So let's go ahead and lower the car down and then start working on the top of the whole car, which is a lot more things, a lot more hose lines and all that stuff that I have to delete, and then I have to add back in the OEM stuff. All right, guys, it's been a couple hours since I gave you an update, but yeah, if you can see, the car is all taken apart. Let me turn on this light. So let me go ahead and show you all of this that's going on. We have literally all of the exhaust off, the bumper off, all of the turbo off, all of the turbo exhaust off, basically all of the bottom end, and then the boost pipes, all the intercooler, and then all of the electronics for the boost itself right there. All of those are off, and then I'm going to leave the intercooler on just because I don't think that matters. So I'm not even gonna take it off, and maybe it will encourage me to boost it again. So I'll just leave it there and just let it hang on the bumper and show through the bumper. But yeah, everything is basically off of the car. It is almost back to stock. All I gotta do is throw on the headers, throw on the cats, and it's good to go. When I say that, there's actually a little bit more to go. I have to do the injectors and I have to do the tune and all that. But then again, that's like super easy compared to all the exhaust work. Let me show you guys underneath the car right here. So I just took off the shorty header right there. Yeah, so all the header is off. I still got to do the turbo side. And then, yeah, everything underneath the whole entire car will be all stock. So then after that, I have to go searching for a little bit of my OEM parts because I have some at my parents' house, and then we can start slapping that back on. But like I said, everything that's on the top of the side or on the top of the car really doesn't take that much. It's the bottom part. All of these parts right here, these parts right here are the most critical and the most time consuming. Once we have all those off, it is a breeze after that. What's going on, guys? Well, it's the next day. I really did not knock out that much today. I really only took off the injectors. As you can see right here, I have my 1000cc injectors that are here. They are some expensive injectors and strong injectors without a doubt. I got the fuel rail out. It drained off all the E85. And then over here on the Mustang, I have the whole top end taken apart. So I have the manifold off, injectors off, of course, and dude, everything looks so crazy clean, like the runners and everything in here. Wow, it's so crazy how clean that is, how good E85 does to your car, or what it does to your car, and then also having an oil catch can setup on this, none of the oil recirculates, so it's so clean in there. But over here, you could see that this is the manifold, have it all down here. And then we ran into a little bit of a roadblock right here. This bolt is actually cross-threaded, as you can see how, yeah, look at that. Man, it just ruins your day when you see things like that. But you could see the bolt is literally crooked, so that is cross-threaded. And then I have the other side of the cats inputted already. So if you come on this side, I have the cats already in down there. All it takes is just 2 bolts, but those headers are on that side, and then these headers are all in. It's all good to go. It's pretty crazy to see this car without a turbo kit. Like, you can see the intercooler right there and no pipes going in it. It's just so sad seeing that. That is the most recent update. When I start putting the car back together, I am gonna put you guys on the tripod right here, and I'm gonna start hooking it up and then getting some B-rolls of me putting it all back together, because I think that putting it on is a lot more interesting than taking it off. You guys seen me take things off so much on this car and on this channel. I just didn't want to bore you guys. And there's one more thing I want to add. I just discovered that this car has a coolant leak. So you can see right there, we are leaking coolant everywhere. It's all over these bolts. It's all down here on the bottom side. You can't really see it because I don't have a light on, but all that is leaking. So we're gonna have to take off the housing right here, and then taking off the water pump, and then probably the crank pulley too, because this is what's screaming. So we're gonna get all that done before we put the intake on and all the other exhaust or OEM components. All right, what's going on, everybody? This is a new day, and we are tackling the fuel line, the coolant leak that I just showed you guys, and then also the finishing up the exhaust, and then finally re-flashing the ECU and doing the VIN stuff. This is just the end, and then after that, the car is back to normal and we can pass the test. So that little inline that we are replacing it with is literally just this. You're just gonna put that where the sensor is. So it's just gonna fit right there, and then boom, done. So then when I wanna put this back in, because California's stupid and I can't have that in, I could just take this out and put the sensor back. So this was only like $8 off of this one company. I got it $10 or $18 shipped to my house. So after we're done knocking this out on the fuel line, we are gonna knock out the coolant pump, which is right here. This is all my OEM stuff that I had for my other engine that blew up. This only had 40,000 miles on it versus this has 80,000 miles. So this has a lot less, and I'm just gonna go ahead and use this than other aftermarket parts because this is OEM and I know this thing is good. So let's go ahead and start knocking that stuff out. And just like that, the E85 sensor is off because we put the quick disconnects on there. So now we just gotta put this in there with these on here. So then it's easy to swap this out when I pass the test and then my gauge works again. All right, so after swapping the little clips out, now we just gotta push those into the fuel line over there. Now that I have the fuel line all sitting pretty like that over there, we are gonna tackle the next issue, which is changing the water pump. I wanna throw on the intake and all that stuff on there if I had to change the water pump, so I'm just gonna go ahead and knock it out now. But the first thing we need to do is we need to drain the coolant, and then we need to take off all the hoses and the water housing itself. Alright guys, so just like that, the new water pump is in. I went ahead and filled it with coolant. I probably should have done water to make sure it holds the leak, because I didn't get a new seal. I used just the normal seal that was on the old engine because everything looked fine. It didn't look cracked or anything. So I'm just letting it sit here to make sure it does not leak down there, because that's where it's leaking from. And then after that, if it all checks out, I'm going to put the intake back on, the injectors, and then the exhaust on, and this thing should be ready to go. After we're all done with that, I put all the stuff back on. I just need to flash the ECU, like I said, with FORScan, and it should be good to go. And we should be ready to go to the smog test and get it all done. Well, not smog test, the state referee, then smog test, and then I should be all good to go. All right, so yesterday we finished putting on the new water pump, the new housing, and all that stuff. So now we are going to put on the new injector, or the OEM injectors, and then as well as the manifold that's sitting over there. And then after all that is done, we'll put in the intake, and then I'm pretty sure the engine bay is all done, and then we could go and work on the headers down there. Alright, so now we are under the car finishing up the exhaust part. So we have this header right here. It's a little loose because we still got to tighten up the bolts up there. And then we have the header down here, or the cat's ready to go in on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on the tripod and then give you guys like the behind shot of me doing it. Alright guys, well the Mustang is 100% all back to stock. You can see the whole engine bay is no more mods, nothing. It is dead stock in here, and it's actually really sad to see the car like this because of all the hard work that I put into the engine. So yeah, to see it like this kind of really sucks. It really blows because like I put so much blood, sweat, and tears into this car, and then now look, it just looks like that. All sad, all the hard work is just gone. So now the final thing to do on the Mustang will be the resonator for the exhaust. It's sitting right here. This is the final thing that needs to go on the car. I need some help, so I can't do that by myself. I tried so hard, but nah, it's not gonna work. So I have to get some people over here to help me out with that. But overall, everything is all done on the Mustang. I'm gonna go ahead and put the stock tune back on, reflash the car, and stuff like that. But man, does this suck to see the car like this. All right guys, so it is the next day and the Mustang is 100% stock, back to OEM, ready to pass the test. But there is one thing that we have to do before we start up the car and do everything else, and that is filling the car up with 91 octane. This car has been running E85 for 2 years since the turbo kit has been on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and fill her up. All right, let's get this sucker filled up. This might be a pain to do, because I don't have the fancy one, so get it all filled up. All right, so the car is all filled up with the 5 gallons of 93 or 91. So now we are ready to start it. The thing that I have to make sure is that when I start up the car, that all this coolant right here is probably gonna get eaten up because we did swap out the housing, as well as this fuel line that we put in, this little union. We have to make sure that it doesn't leak from there and it causes a fire. So those are the 2 things when we start this up for the first time. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get it. All right, let's get it started and see what happens. Well, as you can see, the car is refusing to start, and I think it's either the E85 or it needs a bump because it's on the base tune, so it's freaked out. All right guys, the Mustang is all back up and running back to stock. I'm just letting it run for a little bit to make sure everything checks out, make sure that the coolant is all topped off, no oil leaks, nothing like that. But man, is it sad to see this thing all back to stock. That sucks. Major sucks so bad. Yeah, I'm really excited that I put it all back together right and it works perfectly fine like it should. But it's so sad not seeing the big old turbo that's in there and seeing it on the floor instead of in the Mustang. It sucks so much. All right, so letting it run for about 5 to 10 minutes. The only thing that I see that's wrong with it is the oil feed line. I tried to cap it off like this, just so I didn't have to take off the whole entire hose that's down here. I just didn't want to take off the whole steel line. I wanted to keep it on just in case if I did put the turbo kit, I could just slap it back easy. But it looks like we're leaking right here, so I might have to go find a better fitting that actually goes in here good and take this one off. But it's not like a major leak, it's just like a little drip. So I just gotta fix that issue, but everything else checks out. The water housing's all good to go. All the vacuum lines are all good to go. No check engine lights on the car. So we are 100% back to stock, ready to pass that test. So guys, the next thing for the whole Mustang is me going and taking it to the test, making sure it passes. I'm pretty sure it'll pass because it's OEM. Everything on the engine is literally OEM. There's nothing hooked up to it that's modified or anything. So that is pretty much the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the content with the Mustang. I'm not saying it like I'm getting rid of it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys liked the build and what I did with the turbo. I don't know what the future holds for the Mustang, but as of right now, this is where I'm going to keep it probably for a little bit until I decide what I want to do. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and if you can believe it, you can achieve it. Don't let anything stand in your way. Get to those goals. With all that, guys, I hope you have a fantastic week, month, year. I love every single one of you guys, and I hope you guys love this build and this journey. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.